I have a bone to pick with Mountain Rose Herbs, and today we're going to talk about it. I am Lila, founder and lead clinician at the Virtual Natural Healing Clinic, where we help people with complex and chronic health conditions find results and feel better naturally. We are filling a gap between what the Western medical model isn't providing and the chaoticness that has become the wellness space is also not providing. So if you're interested in the work of myself or the clinic, check down below in the description. But without further ado, today we're going to talk about everybody's most beloved herbal company, Mountain Rose Herbs, and the bone I have to pick with them. And no, it's not their long shipping times, their political affiliations, or their slightly high prices. I can overlook those things. What I do want to focus on today is how they sell herbs that are not in their traditional form. And my prime example is going to be this Guggulu resin I am holding here. So somebody actually gifted this to me many years ago, and shockingly I have not been able to use it, and we'll talk about that in a second. So Guggulu is a hard, resinous, gum-like substance. It's mildly fragrant, and it's related to boswellia, frankincense, and myrrh. They're all very similarly related. And it is a great medicine. I use it a lot for things like benign masses, fibroids, inflammation, arthritic conditions, elevated blood fats, bone repair and regrowth. It's a really cool, really important herb. It is in danger of being overharvested, so that's another conversation we'll have to have. But this herb comes from Ayurveda. Ayurveda is a medical system that is over 5,000 years, and the thing about Ayurveda is they know what they're doing. Any herb that they recommend, any preparation, any formula, any weird concoction has been tested for thousands of years and perfected, and we know from these ancient rishis, this is how this should be done. And these traditional methods show to be effective, and we have thousands of years of traditional use behind them. So Guggulu gum, this nice resinous product, is traditionally used in a processed and powdered form. So they process it, they get out all the sticks and bugs, and then they have a form to powder it. Sometimes it's mixed with some other herbs or something in that processing process. Mountain Rose Herbs sells this form of Guggulu resin in its whole raw form. This is not usable medicine, and the person who gifted this to me did not know that. And people who are reading in textbooks or learning, or even really in the infancy of their education, or working with practitioners who say, hey, go get some Guggulu resin, might pick this up. And it's, it's expensive. I think this bag was 35 bucks. And now they have a bunch of hard, sticky resin that they can't get in their body. It's really hard on the digestive system. Maybe you could find a way to extract it, but this is medicine making now in a completely different craft and use for somebody who just needs to get their Guggulu resin to consume it for medicine. So if you go to any Ayurvedic supplier, this is going to be powdered, it's going to be in a formula, or it's going to be in pills or capsules. You will never see Guggulu from an Ayurvedic supplier in its raw, unprocessed form. So Mountain Rose Herbs doesn't take into consideration this traditional preparation that's really important, because they know what the traditional preparation is, but they want consumers to be able to make their own informed decisions, which is great. I love empowering people, but we're selling a lot of things in formats that they're not actually usable in. So the only thing I can do with this now is use it as incense. I have a little incense burner. It's got a little grate. I can put it on the top, put a tea candle light below it, and it'll emit some nice vibes. But what I can't use it as is the medicine that I would like to be using it as. And as this example shows, it's a burden being shifted to the consumer when I think it should be held with this product seller. It shows that they care about selling the product, not the product being used effectively or efficiently by its consumers. They care about making the money. They don't care about people getting better, right? This is the problem with a lot of herb and supplement companies. They are in business, and it's not to say that the things are mutually exclusive, but at the end of the day, their goal is to sell herbs. My goal as a clinician and herbalist is to help people get better. Sending people to go get resin in this form is not going to do it. So this isn't the only example. I remember when I was first starting out in my herbal studies, I went there and I got ashwagandha and shatavari. Those were two of the first things that I needed to go on. And I didn't know up from down. I was just in my infancy. And so I bought the ashwagandha and the shatavari that they had. And I bought a quarter pound of each. It came in the same size bag. And they were both cut and sifted. So anytime you see a cut and sifted herb, this is for tea, either an infusion or a decoction. Now, I get these herbs, and then I learned traditional preparation of ashwagandha and shatavari is powdered, or a churna form, as we would say in Sanskrit. So here I am with this root, and I want to take it as powder because ashwagandha does not extract in water. So making it into a tea wasn't going to be a viable option. Shatavari, I don't know off the top of my head if it extracts in water. I'm going to guess not perfectly, and also cite that traditionally we've never taken it as tea. So again, I have these two cut and sifted herbs that aren't going to be very useful to me. And I eventually figured out how to powder them myself, and it wasn't ideal. It's really hard to get them powdered as well as I wanted, but you know what? I got through it. But if I were to send a client there and they picked up ashwagandha in a cut and sifted form, I wouldn't want them taking it in a tea. And most of my clients are busy people, so I wouldn't necessarily want them to take the time to have to grind up the herbs. The things that we can do to remove the barriers and obstacles to taking herbal medicine, the better for the people, because it is a bit of work and people are busy. I recently had a client get some Gokshura from them, and I let her do her own sourcing, and she got they're like the goat heads. Gokshura is goat heads, so you know those tiny, thorny little goat heads you've probably gotten stuck in your socks at some point. And she's like, oh, I was supposed to get this in a powder. They were selling it in this form. Again, it's something traditionally that's never been decocted. It's used as a churna in Ayurveda, and so she had to grind it up herself. And it does not grind very easily. So now we have this obstacle to getting her to take the medicine. And while we will figure that out, we might even test it as a tea because part of its constituents are water soluble. Not everything will be extracted as a tea, but I think it's a worthwhile experiment. It is frustrating as a clinician to see these herbs being sold outside of their traditional uses. This is also happening with the amount of things that are being tinctured. We're tincturing things that have never been tinctured before in history or their thousands of years of use. And we don't necessarily have the science done to know if these things are extractable in alcohol. And if they are extractable in alcohol, what is the best method and solution to extract them in? So these are really important things, and we see big companies like Mountain Rose Herbs and we trust them. Everybody's using them. They have respect in the marketplace. They've been around for a long time, and they are a really good quality company. They sell really good quality herbs. But because we have that like, know, and trust factor immediately with Mountain Rose Herbs, we don't second guess or question what we're purchasing. We assume that they have done that for us and are giving us this herb in the proper format for us to take it and get better, and that's not what's happening. So because of this, I very rarely send anybody to Mountain Rose Herbs, and I'm not trying to pick on the company. I really stand by that they make really top quality products, and they source top quality products. But I cannot risk my clients getting the wrong things in the wrong preparation. And while I do a majority of sourcing for people as part of what I offer, sometimes people like to source themselves. And if people have an interest in medicine making or in herbalism, and I can help foster that and support that as we work together, I totally will. And part of that is going to your own herb companies and purchasing your own herbs, which is cool. I get it. I would operate like that too. But we have to have higher expectations for the people providing our medicine, in my opinion. So that's my bone to pick. Otherwise, they really are a good company. They have a beautiful mercantile down in Eugene, Oregon, that I stop at. They're really not on my top list. I don't source from them for myself anymore. But I'll stop in if I'm in person going through Eugene and pick up a couple items if I'm in need. But that's it. So I want to hear, do you have any experiences with Mountain Rose herbs using the wrong product in the wrong form? Or do you have any questions about this phenomenon? And while I'm using Mountain Rose herb as my example, it's happening with a lot of herb manufacturers in a lot of places. So they are just a big one that I've had some real personal experiences with, but there are so many other companies that care at the end of the day about selling the product, not about the product working. And as a clinician, it's just one more thing that I am up against, we are up against as clinicians. So I would love it if you liked and subscribed and reached out if there's specific things you want me to cover. This is everything natural healing and everything that will help you get better on your health journey. So thank you for being here.